Hello, hello. Welcome to Macchiarini Creative Design. Got quite a crowd tonight. De salute. You're in the presence of the oldest ongoing metal arts production studio and gallery in the United States. And 1 month from tonight, we will be celebrating the 10th anniversary of our school. Right now, what's going on back there and downstairs is our classes, and we run 6 days a week. We started 10 years ago with 2 classes, casting and fabrication. And so what we're doing here is enabling other people to learn the metal arts and express their art. We don't teach art, we teach craft. So anyway, we have, as usual, an amazing group of poets and performers that are going to give you a good experience here tonight. And I'm going to introduce Jessica Loos to introduce them. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the reading for First Fridays here at Macchiarini Creative Design. We always have a great audience, and it's wonderful that the wind has died down. Thanks for coming, and we do have a great group of poets. Thank you for Colin, who always, every month since the very beginning, has recorded these readings for Alcatraz Radio. So you can see any of the readings on Alcatraz Radio. And Macchiarini Creative Design, thank you. Thank you to David Zeiss for doing a fantastic job with the sound every month without fail for all these years, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to start out with a poem that I really like by the poet Eugene Ruggles from his book, Roads of Bread, his collected poems. A machine shop foreman. There are parts of the Detroit River that can wear through the ankles of young men. There were hundreds of machine shops around Detroit the spring I left high school. On the outside, they were naked, dark, and cinder block, no shade. They fed metal parts into the assembly lines and veins of the big 3 automobile families. Where the sunlight ended in piles of rusted scrap on Monday, I opened the steel door, and there he was, a short man, about 5'6" and thick. He extended his arm to me like a bar of iron, with a wrist and a hand missing, half a thumb, 1 forefinger, and the third of another finger. This was the right hand. I put my smaller one into it. The left hand was in a dirty cast, holding an oil can. Can you start today? Sure, goddamn, my first job. He took me to the center of the shop, a punch press as large as a freight elevator, tons of black steel stood before me, rising and falling in the heat with a crescendo that tested the cinder block. Leaving me half his lunch, he told me what to do and left. All day, Detroit exploded before me. After a while, it could have been God humming to me through that short, thick man. Most of the 30 men there were black. He was Polish. I was 18. That Friday, he took me and 2 black workers to the corner bar and bought beer until midnight. He wouldn't let me cash my first check. He looked 35 and told me he was 26, an ex-Marine and Korean War vet paying the mortgage on his parents' home in Hamtramck. I told him I was quitting, and he said, I know. You worked your ass off, hope you have some left. He did a few polkas with the barmaid. We played pool. Have another beer and a shot. You worked your ass off. When I left, he shook my hand for a long time as though he wanted parts of it, but he didn't. As I walked from the bar that night, 3 white cops were bending over in an alley playing soccer with a pair of black testicles. In the dark, young black women waited for a John or the cops that came by every night. They could either go downtown or go down on the cops in the nearest alley. I watched as the cops drove them back from the nearest alley. The women all had brothers and fathers and uncles waiting at home. This was the early 60s. On one side of the Detroit River, Newark was also waiting at home for her daughters, and on the other side of the Detroit River, Watts was waiting for hers. All the while, beneath many other rivers, young black women were waiting to breathe. In the early 60s, Detroit's tallest flames were rising deeper than ever around its machine shops, its ankles, its tons of black steel. Not even his capable hands, the bones of each one, could hold them down. Anyhow, the next poet is someone that I first met at Specs several years back when Ellie Simmons, there was a reading for her handmade book that she did for Al Mutanabbi Streets, and he is one of the poets in the book, and that is where I met and first Gerald Fleming read. So I invited him here tonight. Please welcome Gerald Fleming.
Is that okay? Thanks, Jessica. I'll try to stay to my 7 allotted minutes here. So, that's great. That's Jess. Okay. Let's organize a parade for one-legged war heroes, the president said. 15 years of roadside bombs, there must be thousands of them. We'll dress them in bright colors. The lost lefts will do red. The lost rights will do Air Force blue. We'll fly them here, put them up a few nights, vouchers for drinks. That's all it'll take. They'll march the half step. We'll goose step them, left flank and right. And when they're told to close ranks for the cameras, they'll look whole again in the afternoon light, and our nation can forget. Dressed in polished cotton, the soldiers came, did as they were told. Up the straight avenues they marched, young men, young women, slow but lockstep, televised, eyes raised, unwavering arm in arm for support. And then, as one, they fell. The domino effect come true, but not the way the generals had warned of, been funded for it so long ago. There on that glorious day, the one-legged warriors fell, men against women, against men, arm in arm they went down in the clatter of prosthetics, the reds into the blues in one wave, undulating down the avenues, the band on the bandstand antheming its martial pageantry of spring, cherry blossoms adrift in the April breeze. What about one-armed men then, the president said. They can still salute, can't they? Let's make them salute. What about gurneys? Can we get guys on gurneys? This is the most serious. I'm an old guy, and what's happening now nationally is the most serious thing we have ever encountered. And as far as I'm concerned, it's all hands on deck, whatever that means. So a little change in tone here on this poem, though. And the strangers do stay, for they are infatigable. Don't go to strangers on the radio. Just at the moment he was thinking of his dreams, where they'd gone, how faithful he'd been to them, which dreams still to pursue. My time's contracting, and anyway, what did they mean? Then the inevitable deconstruction of each, self-flagellation that Etta Jones, bold, assertive on the stereo, build your dreams to the stars above, live messages from dead gods. I remember a taxicab ride at night in a downpour, she said to him once. I thought we were on our way, but a blind man got in, needed a cab too, sat beside me. He took my hand and said, don't be afraid. This dream will only last a few blocks, but if you want, I can stay in your mind forever. And instinctively I said, I want. Thanks. Blue Iris. He considered his life a tiresome journey, a dead secret journey across water from the land of kilos and grams to that of pounds and ounces. Then endless travel, odometers and pedometers, every mile logged at day's end, destination to destination, driver, taker of cabs, pedestrian. It was a vow against passion, this obsession, and it took him far over the years. 242,371 miles, the latest entry in his diary. This body, spectacle of accelerating decay, and feelings? What a word, flaccid with imprecision. As far back as he could remember, they came at him. How do you feel about that? What are your feelings on this matter? My God, what cretins. We would expect him to be thin, and yes, he was thin, and his eyes sunken, his hair gone gray, his bookshelves nonfiction and philosophy, his home a plastered semicircle built against the sea. Then the note, your poor daughter has died. And his note, I had no daughter. And the next, yes, you did, and you have another. There was a blue iris in the eastern field across the way. He noticed it, looked at it, and looked at the note, and looked at the note again. Just two more. Refugee. Jump into the river at 12:46. I'll meet you at 1. If I've got the tide table straight, the current will get you here just then. Stay close to shore. Let the river take you. Keep your head down and don't swim. To swim is to splash. Count to 60. Do that 13 times, then take the headlamp and flash it once, just once, and I'll jump in. We can reverse this. No, rivers don't flow upstream, but we've been upstream, haven't we? And what's it gotten us? Downstream, the women are more you, the men more me. We will like the men and the women, and I will like the women and the men, and no one is waiting for us. I know that. I'm not a fool. But when we've crossed to the other side, when we haul ourselves out onto a dock, surely there are docks there. So many boats plow their way upstream. When they see our faces, your body and my body will be taken into the arms of their bodies. They will say, these are people from the north, and though we are people of the south, to yet others downstream, we too are people from the north, and we would want to be taken in. This is certain. Kindness and sweet fruit await us. The waters have not flowed red there for years. I have been told these things. I promise you, we will emerge from this green river and be made new. Just one more piece here. Winter coat. It was only because you needed that winter coat that the cat, shut inside one of your trunks, was able to live. Of course, the coat was fouled. The cat, a mere suggestion of cat. Your grief that he'd run away, now replaced by self-loathing. But you nursed him back. Day by day he gained weight. The bare patches grew fur. His own winter coat glowed. His eyes regained their focus. It was then, of course, that he left, and that you began, season after season, to walk the streets in that dry, clean coat, calling his name. Thank you, everybody.
Am I really that short? I guess I am. Anyhow, once again, that was Gerald Fleming. And our next poet is one of two poets this evening who are visiting here from Portland, Oregon. And I will split them up. They're not going to read together. We'll have one now and the other one in a little while. But they will both be reading at the Bird and Beckett's bookstore on Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Please welcome James Yeary from Portland.
Thank you, Jessica. I am almost that short. Almost.
Not quite.
All right. Thanks for coming out. Nice to see all you guys. I'm going to read a bunch of mostly really short poems. I'll just run through them. Panda Blumiere. Prawns guide sailors to shore with whips that mimic acoustic radiation and laughs that collapse early butane colonies strung along the edge of the continent. Kinetic memory tears its weight in the dash of mind-body, and outside is the most common object in any museum, a blob of hydrogen 3 Milky Ways long, The blue dress is a mystery and the rest is empty space, filling little orbits in Sagittarius when you want to look around a shore you can't touch. Don't touch my eyes whether they're open or not, and don't eat the things swarming around the oars. The number 1 kingdom annotated, Wilderness Design Monitor proofs procedure under America's flower-dusted mail carrier icon, rubber-stamped stake. Cumulonimbus people today relate their experiences, cartographic margin drop-off complete with trapdoor, pneumatic display file scrolling cross-species benched, sectional hesychasm familiarized zip code recitations. Gaston, Weston, Powers, Condon, slurry cycles seek young advertisements, paginated echolalia, hammering bassoon, bass back translations, less than Robespierre type stock characters, lithographed weather sampled platter, pastoral green screen, desertification action plan, emanation spectacle, experimental religions artifact dodger, near me closing soon, Maupin, St. Paul, Butte Falls, fossil, fragment disavowal theology, Coupon Mountain Laboratories, commencement void calling summertime nihilism, entails what emotion? Resting pop lifespan, temperance depending. Sunset seminarians, monasteries en route, snap together ecumenism, beer prices, privation, serendipity serving tiny townspeople forever lonesome. Ione halfway, Sodaville Moro. She shreds kumquat, Pied Days caving pink palate tongue, mouthfuls issue precarious orchestra, tentacles need St. John's wort. British bargain dawn crumb color scheme catalysis to wedding certificate, hand-rolled second folio seamed solid, catharsis reverberates off screen, planet East Indies, push mower style never recedes, hard-boiled domain, greenhorn, lone rock, Shaniko, granite, brimstone birdsong, neon menudo undivided, sounds like endless happiness, pine tree simple. No politely closed, against eternal strategies, auspicious parts of speech, into dormice wander, grinding jawbone, sacred song, winnow every tale. Built the books we wanted to read with words printed over English rain, Chinese classics, Tao Te Ching. At 77,000 feet, what I remember remembering about Denver is pages absolved of everything computers have been used for. Mind facets erect at geological dusk, laughed until they saw us standing where the roof was. Can we take the loose experimental agape contour definition of the poem and hold it back as a mirror of friendship, and then looking at friendship, see that it can resemble the poem? Can we see the music and friendship? They're both at the concert hall and the intimate performance, the music played for an audience of one. Can we acknowledge that there must be certain rules, but they have to be broken to highlight the rules of friendship? The harmonies, perhaps, are inexplicable. Mighty sources at waterways, derived currents, nothing safe to pick apart. Civic fees the body pays, compiled air indexed by weight. Prophetesses' signatures kick up air behind a truck are neither feather nor freight. For patients looking to speak of the signals relayed inside a body without metaphor, living people make these countries up, throughout speech wilderness besieging them with dread. Foundering cracked China, these are the laws that stuck around in a posthumous note to his in-law, promising he'll let us know if afterwards and where at. Sea, charmed by lightning, couches over Epigraph City, no backup toilet. An open letter from the countryside begging that you shred wherever policemen lay their hammers, stalked through ancient yellow pages, Arthurian mock narrative casting Thomas Cranmer as Jane Shore, behemoth forthcoming, ostensibly. The wilderness back then, we projected out of our bodies as a bolt or boast that looking back down at us could survey any wound. Wide acceptance between machines who recognized the feminine as this creative principal and took their gardeners' jobs with them. They passenger shadow, fail at eudaimonia, free from birth even, if it ever comes to that. My stones, as the sun sees them unsaid, glues to its world a subject stretching honestly until in space can sound it all out, all its sound can spin in until honestly, outstretching subject a world to its glues, unsaid them sees sun the as stones my. Closing eye owns dawn noonlight, pinched fog feather, shooter mom himyer only wants your self-doubt, core appropriating selves fire sunset half-lives out toward time, another other stands in the path of. Two more short shorties. A stone to take with you and carry on your way before this year gets going, another rousing song, droning harmonicas, broken bass drums. Young people dream their music is transcendent. Let's play until we're not. Sun, crow, and traffic. Looks nice, but we know better. Benched sky, handing over until. Thank you.
We're kind of the same height. He's a little taller. But anyhow, yes, once again, that was James Yeary. And our next poet she lives in San Francisco. She has a wonderful empanada place in the Mission called Chile Lindo. But she is also a poet and very dynamic person. Please welcome Paula Tejeda.
Thank you. That's a hard act to follow, I have to say. This is kind of in honor of Puerto Rico. Woohoo! Alfonso Texidor was a poet from the Mission and one of those memorable characters and one that got me out to read. And this is a book that was dedicated to him, Alfonso Texidor, A Cortar Caña, and we published different poems. And I opened it up thinking maybe I'll read something from here, and I found out that I'm right across Neely Tchaikovsky in this book, which makes it really historic for me. There's a few references. One is Juan Ramón Cantalizo, that I want to explain, which comes from a poem from Nicolás Guillén. Duro espinazo insumiso, which means a Spain that does not subjugate. There's a reference to El Grito de Lares, which is referred to the Lares uprising. There's a reference to Some People Are About Jam from the New York Poets Cafe, which was a poem by Sandra Maria Esteves, and it's Spanglish. Don Alfonso Texidor, con esa sonrisa de cocodrilo y mirada de caramelo, ha conquistado el chuculún a doncellas y poetas desde North Beach a la Misión. Al igual que José Ramón Cantalizo, duro espinazo insumiso, dedo índice al aire, nuestro amigo rinde homenaje al grito de Lares. A cortar caña! From New York Poets Cafe to Café La Bohème, you'll always be about jam, and so will your friends, ingenioso caballero, Don Alfonso Texidor. So the next one is an oldie that used to be Alfonso's favorite, and it's from my days waitressing in New York City at O'Neill Brothers Cafe. And I had just been living in Chile, and before that, San Francisco, so I wasn't exactly a New York City waitress back then, which is the second most stressful job after Wall Street in New York City. And it's called Waitress Protest. Shake, 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 the cocktail shaker did my spirit hit by rocks at 57th Street. O'Neill's. Here I once again got in touch with life in New York, and though it was hard, I owe to you a great deal. Yes, I was stuck. Ruthless customer, tough waiters, kitchen staff, bartenders, managers, hostess, chef, all knew what they did and set me straight on the rocks, for New York is a city where you can't slip on your shots. They all see so much and are here due to dreams, which makes them human and of all most real, from faraway lands, from the ghetto, from Boston, language is song, in the kitchen mariachi, jazz at the bar, in the grill room rock. Every once in a while, all of us galled were rubbed, as if Aladdin would all of a sudden jump. Money, 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 a nickel, a dime, a big bill came around just in time. It's the name of the game. Who cares about principles? We're here for survival. Our life is miserable. You step on your brother, he swings you aside. So what if I love you? I don't have the time. But alone, we all wonder, what if the next time we meet under sunlight and you can see my smile? Our goals are too great, too important for you to expect anything more. But you know he does, we all do, we're here for each other, but I would never dare to burden your road. We cross each other, but our cross is our own, and I respect you all the more. Still, every once in a while I get hit by some Mexican rice and a great drink and Dominican rice and of course some beans, and we talk of religion and all that wisdom which we try to apply, but again there's no time. The tables are calling, the kitchen is ringing, the drinks aren't ready, my hands are unsteady, the ketchup, the mustard, the dressing, it's sour. So what if a minute is an hour? I'm buying your meal, don't make it a steal, just bring me the bill, your tip is my seal. Do I have time for one more? If it's not long. Our immigrants. What would you say of a nation that targets and criminalizes the labor force that drives its economy? In other words, the people who lend a hand to care for its constitution. The people who work the jobs that curve backs for life and stiffen hands with calluses. The people who have no labor rights, no rights to a minimum wage, no rights to overtime pay, no rights. The people who work 16-hour days of hard labor and that, contrary to popular belief, do pay taxes yet are not entitled to tax benefits. The people who are predominantly exposed to the machination of corporate fine print. The people that save their menial wages to buy the car that will be immediately confiscated by law enforcers adept at racial profiling. The people who AT&T entices in their own language and at their own expense to reach out and touch some faraway loved ones. The people who, with faith in nation under God, look up to the indivisible United States of America for what it pledges to uphold, the promise of liberty and justice for all. Those are the immigrants who risk their lives to cross our borders, who are hunted down in raids by our homeland security, who brave deportation to work under the poor working conditions of our industry, who pay taxes towards our system, the system that makes them the scapegoat of our, America's, real crisis, the economic war that it is losing in the global market. Thank you, you honor me. Thank you.
Once again, Paula Tejeda. Now we're gonna have some music from Dan Riley, a couple of songs by Dan Riley, who plays at the Saloon every third Sunday of the month. Please welcome Dan Riley.
All right. This song I'm going to do inspired a song by Van Morrison, and it probably inspired a song by John Lennon as well. And it's called Mama Said. Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. I went walking the other day, everything was going fine. I met a pretty girl named Billie Jean, and I almost lost my mind. Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. My eyes are wide open, but all that I can see, chills are ringing for everyone but me, but I don't worry, 'cause Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. Someone could look at me the way I look at her so. Might find don't walk it any old way, so I don't worry, 'cause Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. Mama said, mama said, mama said, mama said. Mama said that there'll be days like these, there'll be days like these, my mama said. Thank you. This is a song by the Velvet Underground. put in front of me. Linger on, pale blue eyes. Linger on, pale blue eyes. Linger on, pale blue eyes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Once again, that was Dan Riley. Thank you, Dan Riley. And our next poet, his name is Chris Ashby. Not to be confused with Ashby as in Ashby Bart in Berkeley, because he is one of the other poets, one of the two poets, the second poet that is here, that is visiting from Portland, Oregon. So please welcome him as our next poet.
Thanks, Jessica, and thanks, Patrick, for suggesting this. So I'm going to blame it on Patrick, yep. All right, I'm going to read, it's the beginning of a longer poem. It's just called Untitled Geology Poem at this point. There are two crusts, oceanic and continental. The first more dense than the other. One is above water and one below. There are two crusts. The first a floating mass, dense and broad, a sprawling seafloor, a top, an edge, a bottom, the shell of a lithosphere. There is a lithosphere, a compilation of rock, a hard layer within an orb, with gravity, with water. There are distinct boundaries, and there is blending. There is water in the rock, and there is water on the rock. Rock in the water, elements, particles, atmosphere. There are two crusts, an oceanic crust made of layers, an upper layer sedimentary with minerals and silicate grains brought to the ocean by rivers and streams, the flow of sand, silt, mud, clay. An upper layer sedimentary, benthic and pelagic, composed of calcareous organisms, neither plant nor animal, calcium secreting foraminifera and coccoliths. An upper layer sedimentary, composed of siliceous creatures, diatoms and radiolarians, algae of great mass, oozing and dissolving at the poles and western shores. There is a middle layer, a conglomerate of igneous elements, from the Latin ignis, fire. There is language, languages, natural and made things, the imagined, visual, physical, electric, signs and signals, patterns. And then there is basalt, rich in iron, rich in magnesium, silicate minerals, the basaltic middle layer of oceanic crust through which all lavas extrude. There is a lower layer, the thickest, the simplest, made of gabbro, ultrabasic, peridotite, elements mixed with elements, crystal mixed with crystal, rock mixed with rock, heat and pressure, water. There are extrusions through the dikes, spaces in the rock, vertical caverns, horizontal chambers in the layers of crust, oceanic and broad, through which magmas move and transform, cooled by seawater, extrusions becoming pillow basalts, continuously becoming, continuously spreading, slow waves of rock, under pressure, underwater. There is oceanic crust insistently spreading, insistent as life, sprawling from sites of uplift, the basin edges between mid-oceanic ridges, volcanic accumulations, eruptions of fluctuating magnitude forming island arcs, underwater, seamounts sliding across a liquid melange of iron coalescing, angles, slopes, waves of varying lengths. There is average growth, numbers in a year, an ellipsis, an orbit, centimeters of spread, measurements, equations, speculation, objects unbound by gravitational perturbation. Within accumulations of stellar matter, there are disks, rings, a whirl of bosons, the materials of attraction spinning in icy collections. There are collisions, were collisions, collisions happening now. There is time, bending, relative, not fully accounted for, elements in predictable randomness, equations of mass and motion, waves of physical contact. There is time for a rocky ocean, a sedimentary ocean, an oceanic crust, thin and dense, the crust that formed first as the disk coalesced, an organization of density, of liquids, of crystals forming. All right, I got time for one more. It is a short one, shortish, a shorty. This is from a letter to a friend, but it's also a poetic thing. What is the anguish and what is the ecstasy? You were the colossus and the blip, I wrote, and thus began our new novel. What is a climax? Danielle was right. If you see something in your head enough, it does become real. I don't like champions, she said, erasing 10,000 years of history. Who can argue that a champion isn't real? Anyone, I suppose. This is a poem about our new novel, which is also a poem about the present. It is a story about the consequence of asking, instead of what the fuck, by which I mean you have to be careful because there's children around. And it is a story about the new Portland, which is a place of love without loss, of families without stress, and an economy without money. You don't have to love anything unless you want to. I'm going to miss you, I wrote, again. Our novel has something to do with the belief that sentimentality has no place in art and the complicit understanding that perhaps we might not agree on what art is. It was over before it began, I began, stealing a line from my life, a book about how books are about everyone. Driving is lost time and other times vacation. I want us to share this. I want to be tired together, and I want you to know that this is not a closed desire. I am always thinking about food. In our new novel, which is a utopian novel, which is also, of course, a dystopia, writing is not allowed to be of the body. There are more apocalypses than we have time to count. This is an allegory, I write, even though I'm not sure what that means. In this novel, we will avoid irony, even though it can be useful. Our new novel will include only the most sincere and untainted moments in life. It is about love in the time of safer machines, but is not meant to be equivocal, comparable, or related to anything except the evidence of existence. Nothing too sweet or sincere in art ever, my friend Evan said. Happy Mother's Day. The plot has something to do with sharing space and imagining a final fantasy, the act of watching movies together and eating dinner, and the idea of a ghost train, which is an inside joke between a friend and I about the first light rail that goes to PDX International. Rodrigo Toscano was right. It doesn't have to make sense. It is our interpretation of Homer, and naively we conceive of this as our Odyssey. For on this train, a writer, i.e. you or me on our way to the airport, will have the impression that the passengers are also people traveling. But in reality, since this is a novel about memory and erasure, they are only ghosts of the past. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The second poem was excellent, just like the first one, but it was not short. Like me. But it's very good. But our final poet actually, there's going to be one more poet, and then I will read with some music, and the musician will play a little for a minute before we end the evening. The next poet is one of my favorite poets. He just has had a book published by City Lights. Please welcome Patrick Dunagan. And he's the one that brought the cats from Portland, so. Woo! Excellent.
Thank you, Jessica. And can I totally do this? I've never thought of doing it.
Oh my God, you're gonna play the tambourine? Why not?
It just occurred to me.
Why not?
Why not? I mean, all right. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to read a couple of short things from this little booklet I just put out myself. This is one of one. You surprised? And that's the president of the country and his chief of staff. So if you don't know who he is or who she is, basically it's just a bunch of shit show. So diatribes, and it's in multiple coloring to represent those folks. It might be a little bit rough. We'll see how it goes. You surprised? A true shithole nation? There is only one, these United States of America. One shithole under God for Christian nationalists, not you or me ever again. He called countries shitholes, he did. He just got reelected as a convicted felon, a rapist. What a shithole country this is. United States of America. Times, person of the year, rapist of the year, racist of the year, felon of the year, person of the year. George Stephanopoulos, really? You called a rapist a rapist? Motherfucker, now you paying that bitch for the truth? You done outed. What the fuck is wrong with you? Normally, I never favor using poetry to advocate death, but Trump deserves not a further single breath. Why release 2,000 bombs to Israel's jihadists? Because they bought them. Bye-bye Gaza. From the river to the sea, putting in condos and resorts, nothing for you or me. Two autocrats, Israeli and American, in one room, all it'll take, utter commitment and one bomb. Real estate developer, crooked to the core, heartless, racist bastard. Of course, for him, Gaza's the next Riviera. This is a little bit rough. I apologize. Patriotic education. That's bringing Trump into the classroom piece by piece, one knuckle bone at a time, reassembling the bloody mess over and over again so all kids know he'll never, ever fucking be president again. And that this is how to deal with a pseudo-fascist would-be dictator dumb shit. Kill him till he be dead, dead, dead. And I mean that. Isn't he joking? No. Won't Congress keep him in check? No. Isn't his family reining him in? No. Our tax dollars fund Israeli war, innocent dead on our heads. Bent over U.S. KKK, fentanyl bowed to tech bros, newly crowned. So we have a new attorney general. Pam Bondi, a thong slot eclipses thought. Inauguration Day, which was the 24th. Welcome, Mr. President. Well, fuck, no, that's wrong. Anyway, 24th is when he came to California. Welcome, Mr. President. In the Golden State, there's snipers in every town looking to take you out. So we wish. The dream, coup d'etat au naturel. Marine One goes down over Palisades. No survivors. White, pull up a chair. Black, stay back. Brown, you mean white? Pull up a chair. Other, don't bother. Pardoning 1,500 fucks who should have been shot. Dead, dead, dead. What's that? America burns. That's what. Ain't no thing. Rapist thing, felony thing, racist thing, cheating thing, presidency thing, same thing. I'm gonna fuck up the French. Sieste pas, or sauce pas, whatever it means. It just means like, eh? The empire is not artificial. It is here and now, nothing imaginary. They are coming for you, first without bothering others. those who have spoken. Desire is betrayal, beauty a reprehensible rag. We have snuffed light out. The darkness hangs all around. Reading Kathy Acker, you understand things for the first time. How very wrong this world is. You thought before change might be possible. Nothing changes. The world is shit, absolute and eternal. The empire is not artificial. It is here and now. Apologies.
So once again, that was Patrick Dunagan. And everyone was fantastic tonight. I love all the poets. The idea here is that we're going to close it out with some more music by Mark Holzinger. I'm going to probably do some poems with him. He's going to play, and I will just read some poems. And mine are going to be a little bit more weird and experimental, just because I feel like, including the poem that I opened up with, all the poems, even though I loved all the poetry tonight, very heavy, very serious, because that is what is on all of our minds. Why wouldn't it be that way? But maybe now, we'll see what happens. How often we see Blondie take off her scarf in snow and bob her pale neck in the white silence. Chickens have no time or sense of reason. And that's for Robert Crilly. Lorca tapped dance under a willow tree with words, and Rimbaud was blue with his fun nose and a tin shoe. But because he liked beer, Bukowski was a postman. Bodega ate coyote and the polka dot gum. Bang! Below cotton mouth onto a drum. There's gloom in the room. I like chocolates. Learn Denver is red. Butterflies in toast. got EI way, no. See, send me, Wawipe. JJ now, Buana. Raw. PP. P.I. Raw PP. Moo. Tagoon. Mutog Hiai.
My hands are too cold to do what I normally do, so I'm doing something different. Man. Thanks. Well, maybe somebody said blues. All right, I will. Hold on a second here. I can't feel my hands at all. As I was motivating over the hill, caught Maybelline in a Coupe de Ville, Cadillac rolling on an open road, nothing outdoing my V8 Ford. Cadillac doing about 9 to 5, we was bumper to bumper, rolling side to side. Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You done stop back doing the things you used to do. Well, the caddy pulled up to 104. The Ford got hot, wouldn't do no more. Done got cloudy and it started to rain. I tooted my horn for the passing lane. Rainwater blowing all under my hood, and I knew that would do my motor some good. Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You don't start back doing the things you used to do. I got to get my pick. I can't feel anything. the motor cooled down. That's when I heard that howling sound. Cadillac looking like a ton of lead, 110 half a mile ahead. Cadillac looking like it's sitting a hill, and I caught Maybelline at the top of the hill. Maybelline, what can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, what can't you be true? You don't stop back doing the things you used to do. Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You don't stop back doing the things you used to do. You don't stop back doing the things you used to do. You don't start back doing them things you used to do. I can't. I got blisters on my fingers. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you for having me, Jessica. And thank you, Macchiarini, for having this great event that we always look forward to on First Fridays. Thank you. Thanks again. Thanks for being here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you very much to all the poets and the two musicians and the excellent audience. Give yourself a round of applause.
Yeah, I know. For braving the cold.